All right, so this is the first in a series of videos I'm going to make about using Blender, 3D modeling and animation software. I actually am coming from Cinema 4D. It's something that I've used both professionally and in the classroom. I've taught with that before, but I've noticed that Maxon, the company that owns Cinema 4D, has increased the price for their education version. And at this point, I think it's maybe around $100 per year or 6 months. And I just don't think it's a reasonable option for some students. So I'm kind of making the shift as well, trying to learn this. So I want to show some basics, but I'm definitely open to any suggestions or tips that anyone watching this channel has. So the first thing you want to do is download Blender. You can just go to blender.org and you should be able to just download it. And then just follow the traditional installation. You know, you can use this on Macs or Windows machines. I'm on a Mac, so just so you know, some of these things might be a little bit different, but I think if you're on a PC, it'll kind of look the same. So, all right. So when you open a new file, you're going to see this interface. By default, Blender will place this cube in the center of the screen. Don't be alarmed. That's going to be there. I just want to kind of walk through some of the features of the interface. Again, I'm on a mouse, or I'm on a Mac, and I'm using a mouse. I'm using a 3-button mouse. And if you don't have a 3-button mouse, I highly suggest you get one, because a lot of Blender is going to use the middle mouse button. So if you don't have a mouse, though, I want to show you what you can do. You can go up to your preferences, and here, edit preferences, and then you can hit this, turn this on, emulate a 3-button mouse. And that way, if you press Alt, let's say you're on a trackpad, you can emulate what the middle mouse button does. So this is actually what the middle mouse would do. If I'm clicking on my mouse, it helps rotate around the object. And if you hold down Shift and use the middle mouse button, you can kind of pan. And if you're on the middle mouse wheel, you can scroll in and out and zoom. So that, again, is a really important reason to get a 3-button mouse if you don't have one. Otherwise, you can kind of do it with the trackpad, but it's a little bit clumsy. Okay, so this is, just navigating the space, I think, is one thing to keep in mind. I'm just going to be working in this layout space. There are different interfaces here that you can use that are tailored to specific functions like animation and rendering, shading, but I think layout is the one that I'm going to stick with for now. And if you click out and you're somewhere else and your interface doesn't look like this, just make sure you can go back to layout up here. Up here, you can see the scene collection. You can see the different objects in here. There's a camera, there's a cube, and if you click on this here, or if you click on it here, you'll see that this gets highlighted. So just those things are linked, and there's one light in the scene up there. Okay, so those are there by default. There's different menu items here. Each time you click on one of these, you'll get different functions and features. So the thing I want to probably look at right now is just this one, which tells us some of the object properties, and this can help us. We can move things around like this. We can change them, or if we move things around, we can see what they do. When you're in this 3D space, this can help guide you. There's X is sort of on this red line, Y is on this green line, and then Z is on the blue line. It's kind of going up. You can really only see X and Y right now. This is a little bit different than Cinema 4D. I think Cinema 4D, the Y goes up and the Z is, I think, here. But so just get used to that if you're coming from Cinema 4D. And then one thing I'd like to think about is X, Y, Z are related to RGB, or red, green, blue. So when you see these, some of these notations, or when you see like this green line, know that you're on the Y-axis. And if I want to move this, you see I'm moving on the Y-axis. Okay, let's see. The other thing, I'm just going to talk about navigating around here. If you hold down G, let me click on this object, and hit G. Oops. And I'm just holding down G. I'm not actually clicking the mouse, but I'm just like able to move things around like this. And you can see it gets updated in here. If I hold down S, I can scale something in and out. And R is going to let me rotate things like this. Okay, I'm just going to go back to the start. I can combine these things with, let's say, G for move, and then X. If I hold down X, it's going to stay on the X axis, or if I hold down Y, it's going to stay on the Y axis, or Z is going to go up and down. So I can do that with scale too. Now it's like, what is this? Scaling on the Z axis, the X axis. You know, this can be really helpful if you want things to kind of move in only one direction, and then rotate. You can rotate along just the Y or just the X. So that's what I'm doing right there. And you can see the keys, hopefully, here that I'm pressing at the bottom. All right. So I think the next thing we might want to do is just talk about how to add another object to the scene. You can go up to here and say add, and you can add these shapes, these primitives. These are meshes, and you can see that in 3D, you're really working with surfaces and planes. So another way to get to that menu is Shift A, and that's going to pull this up. And so you could put in a sphere, let's say, and let's say we want to move it. Hold down G to move it and pull it up like this. And yeah, you can kind of see what's happening there. There are two modes in Blender: object mode, which is good for selecting the big objects themselves, and then when you want to go in and actually play with the shapes and the pieces, you can go in and you know, I'm grabbing right now a point, but you can like move things around and change the geometry that way. Let me just undo that. One key thing to know is that in edit mode there are vertex selects, edge selects. So that was vertex select just there, and then this is an edge select, and then there's this like face select. So this can be helpful, and we can move things up, right, or scale them. Oops. Yeah, just showing you what I can do. Rotate as well. So if we wanted to make something like this, this is how you can kind of start to model things. This is really basic, but I just wanted to show kind of what you can do. Be sure you're aware of which mode you're in. You can toggle between them by hitting Tab. But sometimes you want to be in object mode, and sometimes you don't see changes that you've made until you go back to object mode. So that's, I think, really important. Another, I think, key feature is if you hit F3. So I'm on a Mac. I hit the function button and then F3. It's going to pull up this search menu, so I can look up things like, oh, how do I add a sphere? Or if there's something that comes up like rotation scale, or if you hear about a function that you're not really sure about where it's located, this is a good way to find it. So I recommend that. And if you need to delete any of these items, like let's say I want to get rid of these, the shortcut is just X, or you can hit right click and delete it. But let's say I just wanted to get rid of that, and just so that we're building something on our first try, maybe what I'll do is just build a kind of a low poly tree. So I'm gonna hit Shift A. I'm gonna get like a cylinder, and when you start, now when you start, I just move this out of the way. The first time you add an object, you get these options here, and you can play with the number of vertices or planes here. So if you wanted low poly, maybe you don't need that many. You can play with the radius. Maybe it's a stump, so it's a little skinny. You can play with the height, and also the location. So that's just the base of my tree, and then I'm going to hit Shift A again and maybe put in a cone. And for this one, again, the first time you add an object, you have access to this, so you can go in and reduce the polygons. And I'm going to move this up. Remember, it's on the Z axis going up. So maybe I do that. And yeah, you can see that these are the pieces. I could copy and paste that. So I have another one, and just, oops. This is a cone that I need. Actually, I can copy and paste it, Command C, Command V, and then take this and move it up. I'll hold down Z so that it stays like that, and maybe do one more. All right, so that's a quick tree. I'm just going to make some modifications, maybe scale this down a little bit, scale this one down as well, just so that they just playing around. Just going to rotate around, and again, this is a really basic object that you can create on your first day of using Blender. So play around with this. All right, and one last thing you might want to do is just maybe change the color of these 3D objects. One thing I'll do is just note that right up here, we have different views. This is a wireframe view. This is solid mode. This is material preview. And this last one is shading. We said that there's a light in here, and you can see the shadow. So with one of these selected, probably one of these two, I'm gonna go and grab like the cylinder here, which is like the trunk. And then down here, I can go into, this is material properties. I'm gonna add a new material here. It's gonna come in as white, but I can change the base color. And this is just a really simple way to approach this. I can do a lot more with materials, but I just wanna change the color itself. And then click on these other objects, and I'm gonna make a new material and then change that color to green. And with these other cones, I should be able to find some of these other materials. I was playing around and I made some materials here, but I can find that other material I made, so I don't need to remake it. And I can just go into here and grab that. And yeah, so this is what that looks like. If you're on this mode, you might not see the colors. Again, you can click through here and see the difference between those things. So hopefully that gives you just a really quick overview of some of the basics. I hope to continue this series and show a little more of what Blender is capable of.